danger of taking it for granted, assuming it will always be there, not just as a collection of individual works by novelists, poets, playwrights, nonfiction writers, but as a unified whole, a multifaceted expression of who we have been and who we are in this state. A curated archive, if you will. Poems, short stories, novels, essays, nonfiction narratives, scripts aren't just about pretty words and decorous phrases. And a sense of place isn't just about adding swatches of local color. Place, North Carolina, is woven into the very texture of these works. The works themselves address all the virtues, flaws, and challenges that define us, from the struggles of Native Americans and colonists of Roanoke Island to the American Revolution, through slavery and the Civil War, and Reconstruction and the Ku Klux Klan, from civil rights to the world wars, from the mountains to the sea, visiting every city and every hamlet in between. In the pages of these works, we find sharecroppers and tycoons, tobacco farmers and fishermen, mill workers and life-saving crews, suburban couples and elderly relatives, Black, white, Latino, Native American, religion and humor, music and art, suffering and redemption. Which brings me to the North Carolina Literary Review. For a quarter of a century, it has acted as the keeper of the flame of that tradition, collecting and cataloging our writers, publishing their work, encouraging new writers, and most of all, treating our literary tradition as one whole thing. Think about that for a moment. We must not underestimate that achievement, this service to our state. One way to understand the value of any institution is to imagine what things would be like without it. Recently, as Hurricane Matthew bore down on Pleasure Island, near where I live, authorities announced that they were suspending all emergency services. If you dialed 911, nobody would be at the other end of the phone. Whatever emergency arose, fire, flood, heart attack, crime, you were on your own. Now imagine no more NCLR. There would still be a number of fine literary magazines in the state, but none of them doing the very special work of maintaining that whole tradition, that multifarious literature of history, politics, folkways, foodways, race relations, love stories, Appalachian culture, Cherokee tradition, and on and on and on. We would all be the poorer for it. It has long amazed me that NCLR manages to publish year after year a journal of such high quality, the highest quality, in fact. I know this is due in large part to the devoted work of Alex Albright and Eva Roberts, whom you've heard from, carried on with equal dedication by Margaret Bauer, aided by a talented staff and a dedicated cadre of students. The whole crew smaller than what you're likely to find running a high school newspaper, and with a budget that's probably less. The work they have done is nothing short of extraordinary. I can say this because I'm not at my home university now. I don't know whether the upper administration here is aware of just how indispensable NCLR is to our literary tradition. How important is the service that it provides. If I were chancellor here at ECU, I would immediately charge my development office with the task of raising a multi-million-dollar endowment to support NCLR. Not just to provide more generous operating funds, better offices, more staff, but more important, to ensure that NCLR does not go away, that it is sustainable for the long haul, that that flame doesn't go out. So here's to Alex, Eva, Margaret, and all the other dedicated people who brought us 25 years of this great gift. And may the writers and editors who continue the NCLR tradition, looking back from a very far distant future, think of these as simply the early years.